A couple months ago, I made a video on the possible conclusion of Ninjago at the end of Season 9, Hunted. At the time, we had very limited information, and a lot of us were under the assumption that the dragon hunters themselves were the Oni. In that respect, my theory of Ninjago's end was without a shadow of a doubt proven false in relation to Hunted, by comments made by the writers and voice actors, the season itself, and leaks related to 2019 Ninjago content. Due to the mediocrity of the LEGO Ninjago movie's release at the box office and many other socio-economic factors that make up LEGO's odd business practices over the last 5 years, Ninjago has taken a hit. As I mentioned in my last video, this could very well have been a handout from the big LEGO bosses themselves, such as Hands of Time and Ninjago movie did not do as well as we predicted. We feel as though Ninjago is coming to an end of its usefulness to the company. The Hands of Time sets and the season itself was horribly mismanaged by Cartoon Network and the stores that stopped the wave. Not only that, by November 2017, yes, a year ago, in the UK and some other parts of the world, the Hands of Time wave was axed early, only 9 months out on the shelves. This is suspect to say the least, and it is something I've wanted to throw into the mix here when discussing what we're about to delve into. So, without further ado, why Ninjago has to end with the Oni. With all the information we now have as of October 2018, I am here once again to propose something controversial. Now, I was pretty sure of myself last time, and the reasoning behind that opinion hasn't changed. Season 10 will give us the real deal Oni, and put this theory of mine to the test again. That isn't anything new, that's just how it's going to work. Looking at the structure of this trilogy of seasons, it's only fair that I push this out and highlight some key facts that may point towards the end of Ninjago at Season 10. Or at the very least provide a reasoning to why I think it'd be best for them to commit to that. I know. Blasphemous. Hear me out. Ninjago is coming up to its 8th-year release, and for the winter 2019 wave, we'll be getting revisited sets from the first few seasons of waves of Ninjago. To clarify, as Tommy Andreasen confirmed, this is not Season 10. They will assumably be released in conjunction with the special episodes coming next year, and we really don't have much to go on in terms of what exactly Season 10 will contain, besides the Oni and their threat to Ninjago, and possibly the other realms. Lore-wise, this is such an interesting subject, and I have a theory in the works pertaining to the Departed realm, the Oni, and what exactly Garmadon might have seen. But, back on topic, Ninjago ending. Scary words. It's been a long ride, and I, posing to this video, am not someone who believes Ninjago has overstayed its welcome or is overdue for an ending. I actually think quite the opposite, or at least I did. In order to understand what it is about the Oni plot that is heralding such an end-of-series vibe to me and many others, we first have to look back at the lore surrounding them and the most related character, the elusive and mysterious first Spinjitzu Master. As a general rule of thumb, with lore-based theories and universes, unless you know for sure what you're doing with it as a whole, you don't rush into the creation aspect in detail. It's one of those unspoken things you just don't go straight into, as if it was some simple thing. It's something that takes time and build-up, which leads me to my problem here. Ninjago started off very vague. It fed us tidbits and expanded the lore when it was needed, just a little bit over the threshold so fans would feel the illusion of a more fleshed out concept. Sometimes things didn't pay off, but generally due to the low scale of things, it wasn't a big deal. However, as things went along, with the small stuff, concepts and information were pressed and we started to understand the world of Ninjago in a much grander light. Realms, the two brothers, Elemental Masters, and then Dragons, Oni. Ninjago had a lot of leeway. There was still a lot of content they could have formed and developed from the already introduced facts. But in 2018, they decided to go down the rabbit hole. Who was the first Spinjitzu Master? At first, that wasn't really an issue. They skipped along atop a thin patch of ice with pinpoint accuracy and masterful control. Not too much was revealed, the Oni exist, plot MacGuffin for the season given context, toys and merchandise sold. Then we had Hunters. Now, as you guys know, I don't really like to drag in specific plot elements to rip apart unless it's specifically an issue, which in this case is half true. The first Spinjitzu Master's story was one of the biggest letdowns in recent Ninjago history. That's an opinion, but it's one that was forged and cultivated by the long years of teasing, intentional or not, doesn't matter, that the show had been thrusting down on us for years. The fact that we had little to no information on this guy, and the fact that his representations varied immensely whenever he was referenced to, or seldom still, shown in any capacity. matched with the simple retcons that have plagued Ninjago, and perhaps a false sense of being was created for me and most likely others. The scale is simply off. They managed to ground down the most interesting mystery in the series to a point where it feels irrelevant and pointless. They treated him as if we already knew what was going on. And the reveal of the Oni being a real and equal power threat to him, in the weirdly nonchalant and cryptic fashion that the information was conveyed to us in, it feels as if they just flippantly kicked the bucket over, as if in some expectation that it would satisfy 7.5 years of build-up. Some people may be quick to the comment section here, as if it was some masterful subversion of expectation, and if it was their intention, it was done quite poorly. If what we're supposed to come back from feeling was that the Oni are compared to the first military master, then that didn't work, because you can tell they tried to explain the story. Keyword there, tried. It was shoehorned in at one of the weirdest moments, in a supposed climax to one of the most fascinating plotlines Ninjago has offered, but just leaves us feeling empty and as if everything was laid bare but nothing was actually explained. But all of that is generally just an issue I have with Hunter's final few episodes, and not something that spells the end for everything Ninjago related. But it does highlight what could be the end of it. Or what, well, honestly, what should end it. Whether people like it or not, the first Military Master was built up as some form of deity, or at least someone with the power akin to one. He created the realm. That's no small feat, and sidelining the weird humanization and power off-scaling that First Realm characters were shown with, one final nail in the coffin needed to be hammered down. The Oni. Yeah, the scaling of Ninjago characters is all out of whack now, if it ever had a decent baseline to begin with. But the Oni have been very specifically handed out to us as the next upcoming threat, and of course there's still the possibility of a little subverted move here, but the fact of the matter is, it's not something I can call now this far away on this lack of information. So what is it that I can't say? What's my point? Well, Ninjago seems to have adopted a little trilogy of seasons starting with Sons of Garmadon and most likely ending with Season 10. The Oni have scaled in powers to the first Military Master, and let's be clear here, the Oni, not an Oni. Just step back, sit down, or stand up, and give it a little thought. The first Military Master was the most powerful and elusive character before Hunted, the god of Ninjago even. And now we have a wave of Oni coming who are just as powerful, if not a little less. But there is a wave of them. This ain't a simple chain invasion here. I'm talking about an army of Garmadons, possibly. Mistake was out of practice, and look what she could do. If this isn't the final challenge for the ninja, literally nothing we know exists in their universe will be. It will go on forever. Do you understand what I'm saying here? This isn't a matter of Ninjago will end or won't, it's a matter of it should. I know this video has been a little all over the place in terms of what exactly I feel on this matter. I love Ninjago, but as the old saying goes, all good things must come to an end. And the writers have gone down this path. Perhaps before or even after Sons of Garmadon there was a little room to give us some more, but this is where it's going now. Tell me, do you think it's right to let Ninjago saunter along after Season 10 as a shadow of the stakes and intrigue that will be provoked? At that point, after what we can assume to be the highest point in the entire series, to just go back to the mundane and move into the territory of what many people feel exists today? I've always defended Ninjago from people who think it has dragged out. I've given it reasons in my mind, and now it feels like it's finally going to pay off. Do I think we could have gotten more out of it? Yes. I honestly feel like we had at least another season of things that could happen before we went down this final battle route. But LEGO is a company that likes money, and Ninjago is a theme that likes to make money. The ethical concern here is something people have voiced now, but we are literally approaching the final peak of the mountain. If this happens, be it 1 or 2 seasons of Oni-related content, Ninjago has to end. I also wanted to throw in the fact that I am not against some form of spin-off, but if this is a cancel due to sales or low viewership, I honestly doubt LEGO would put money into taking some other time frame from the universe. If we get something else, at the very least, it won't start the Ninja Centerfold. Thank you all for watching and listening to me ramble on a little about this very sensitive issue. I know a lot of you will still not understand me here, and to make it clear, this is like the hard decision made to preserve something good, and not let it decay into a state of bad. This isn't the hate train of Ninjago saying it has to go away. This isn't me saying I don't want Ninjago. It's quite the opposite. tell me what you think about this in the comment section, but please, for my sanity, understand what I've said before labeling me a hater and the worst person on the planet. Who am I kidding here? And with that all said,